My name is Brenda Ashford. I'm 68 and I live in Garland, Texas. My husband Ray died on a Friday in November. 28 days later, his 3 brothers sat me down in the company conference room with a blue folder and a list of things to hand back. They wanted my signature, they wanted the keys, the badge, Ray's laptop, and they wanted the company stamp. Dale did the talking. He said, "A woman can't run this company. Sign it over." So I took the brass seal out of my purse and set it on the table. I said one word, then I drove home. That night they posted a picture of themselves toasting it. 200 at 12 people liked it. 5 months later, in a room on the Ikalabingi Sa floor of a building on Ross Avenue in Dallas, a man none of them hired stood up and read 4 lines out loud. "Welcome back. Drop a comment and subscribe." We buried Ray on a Wednesday. The warehouse closed for half a day. Men from the shop floor stood in a funeral home in their good boots, smelling faintly of cutting oil. Ray had run Ashford Valve and Supply since his father died in 2001. His father started the company in 1979 out of a rented bay, and in 47 years that became $19 million a year and 41 families depending on it. The reception, people kept finding me by the coffee urn and saying the same sentence, "You let us know if you need anything, Mrs. Ashford." That was my job title in that building for 32 years. The woman who brought sandwiches to the picnic and knew everybody's kids' names. Nobody there was being cruel. That's the part I want you to understand. When a man dies, people reach for the shape of the family they already have in their heads, and in that building, the shape had 4 Ashford brothers in it, and 1 wife with a platter. 3 days after we buried him, Dale called and asked if I could come by the office Monday morning. Monday, 9:30 in the morning. Ray's 3 brothers were already sitting when I got there. Dale is 66, vice president of sales, the kind of man who shakes your hand twice. Curtis is 63, operations. He stood by the window the whole time with his arms folded. Lyle is 58, secretary-treasurer. He had a laptop open and he talked fast, the way people do when they've rehearsed. There was a blue folder in front of my chair. Inside it, a stock power, an assignment. Separate from certificate, a resignation of officer, and a list titled Company Property to be Returned. Item 7 was corporate seal. I asked Lyle the only question that mattered to me 3 weeks after burying my husband. Resign as what? He smiled before he finished his sentence. "It's just cleanup, Brenda," Dale said. "You've got the house. You've got the life insurance. Ray took care of you." I asked, "What am I signing away?" Lyle didn't look up. "Nothing you have." Then Dale leaned back, put both hands behind his head, and said the thing that ended the ordinary part of that meeting. "A woman can't run this company." He said it the way you'd tell somebody the store closes at Annam. I did not raise my voice. I have never once won anything by raising my voice. I closed the folder and slid it back across the table. I reached into my purse and took out a brass embossing seal his father bought in 1979. An eagle on a derrick, Ashford Valve and Supply, Inc., Texas, 1979. I set the felt bag on the table, pulled the drawstring open so they could see the brass here. I said, "That was the one word." Dale's face relaxed all at once, the way a man's face relaxes when a bill he was dreading comes in. Lower than he thought, I picked up my purse and walked out through the sales floor. My son Travis was standing in the warehouse doorway with a scanner gun in his hand, and he didn't say anything either. And I don't hold that against him. I should tell you who I was before I was Mrs. Ashford, because it matters later. My father climbed poles for the electric co-op. My mother cleaned 2 churches and a dentist's office. I ran a switchboard at 19, married Ray at 24, started night classes at 26, and graduated in isang libot siyam naraan walumput anim with an accounting degree and a 2-year-old at home. I spent 8 years as a cost accountant, writing down what actually happened, while everyone else was still arguing about it. That's the whole trade. That Monday driving home, with my purse a pound and a half lighter, the thing I kept seeing wasn't Dale's face. It was a maroon buckram book with gold letters worn down to ghosts. I had filled in one line of that book myself in 1994. Lyall posted the picture that night. 3 men at a steakhouse, the brass seal sitting on the tablecloth catching the flash. The caption said, "The Ashford brothers, back where it belongs." 212 reactions. I looked at that photograph a long time, and what I felt wasn't rage. It was colder and more useful. The feeling you get when a man tells you confidently that the invoice is right, and you can already see the addition error from across the desk. My phone rang at alas 10:40. It was Travis. He'd seen the post on his break. He said, "Uncle Lyall told the whole floor I sold out my interest back in '03, and Dad had been giving me a check ever since out of respect. He said it in front of the shipping crew, and they were laughing." "Is that true?" he asked. "That's half of it," I told him, because it was the truest sentence I had at 10:41 at night. "Which half?" he said. "The half where they signed something in 2003, I said. "Go finish your shift, honey." He didn't finish his shift for another 4 hours. I didn't sleep for 2 days. I opened a file drawer of Tatlamput Dalawa years of tax returns, pulled one folder, looked at one page for about 7 seconds, and put it back. I wasn't ready to say a number out loud until I could source it. And sourcing a number means you can point to where it came from and who put it there. On Thursday, Dale cut my son's hours from 40 to 28, moved him off day shift onto night receiving. The form said seasonal volume adjustment, which had never once happened to Travis in 11 years. He and his wife have a note on their house and a 4-year-old daughter in daycare. Labindalawa hours a week wasn't a message to my son, it was a message to me, sent through him. I waited 11 days, then I drove to see Ruthie Vance, 74 years old, corporate secretary of Ashford Valve and Supply from 1988 until she retired in 2019. She took the minutes at every board meeting for Tatlamput Isa years and kept the corporate book in a fireproof cabinet. I told her what Lyall had told the shipping crew. She said, "Brenda, I don't have a thing at this house that belongs to that company. Not a paperclip." "I didn't come for papers," I said. "I came to ask if I still have the right to ask." She told me, "Honey, you're a shareholder of record. In Texas, a shareholder can make a written demand to inspect the books. You state a proper purpose, you sign it, you send it." Then she said the sentence that changed the next 5 months. "When they open it, don't let them hand you a printout. Ask for page 16. To explain page 16, I have to take you back to March of 1994. We had a customer in Port Arthur that went bankrupt, owing Ashford Valve $712,000, and the bank called our note. Ray tried 3 banks in 9 days. Dale drove to Tyler and got turned down for a second mortgage in 20 minutes. There was 1 checkbook left in that room, and it was in my purse. The board met on a Monday and resolved to issue 1,200 shares of common stock. 1 person subscribed. Part of it from selling my mother's house, most of it from 17 years of paychecks I had put into certificates of deposit instead of a bigger house. Ray signed the certificates as president. Ruthie signed as secretary. Then she opened the maroon book and wrote it in by hand. Certificates 21 through 24, 300 shares each. Brenda Ashford. March 14th, 1994. Page 16. Dale signed the minutes of that meeting as a director, so did Curtis. Nobody did anything. It was a Monday. The bank got paid, and everybody went back to work. So the obvious question is, why I never said a word about it for Tatlamput Dalawa years, and here's the honest answer. It isn't noble. Ray and I made a deal in the truck that night. He ran the company, I kept the books, and we were never going to be the couple who reminded people who owned what. He said, "You'll never have to prove it, Bren. It's written down." He was right that it was written down. He was wrong about the other part, because writing a thing down and having somebody read it out loud are 2 completely different jobs. Curtis called me at 7 in the morning on the 2nd of January. He has called me maybe 4 times in 43 years. Dale shouldn't have said it that way. He told me. "Which way did you want him to say it?" I asked. Then he told me something I didn't know, and it took him 9 minutes to get through it. About his son Kyle, and a decision that had been made in 2003 for a reason he had carried for 23 years. That reason is where this story turns, and it is why 5 months later, a man none of the Ashford brothers ever hired stood up in a room on the 11th floor and read 4 lines out loud in front of every one of them. If you want to know what those 4 lines said, stay to the end.